Today's episode of Misadventures in Travel. I'm going to tell you about the time that my dad and I missed our Amtrak train in Denver. Okay, it was my Christmas break from college, my freshman year of college, and we decided we were going to take a trip by train from where we live. I think we had to go to Chicago or Iowa or whatever to get on the train, and we were taking Amtrak to Sacramento, where my grandparents lived at the time, and then we were going to visit them, and then we were going to take the train to San Francisco, do some sightseeing in San Francisco, and then we were going to take the train to San Diego and do some sightseeing in San Diego, and then take the train back. That was the plan. There is a second part of this story that was even worse than this, which I will tell you about in a future video. But the first crazy thing that happened was I think you're on the train overnight. Yeah, you're on the train overnight, like through Nebraska or whatever, and you get to Denver early in the morning. And Denver is a water stop, which means that the train is there for a while because it refuels and restocks and things like that. So we had a sleeper car. We had a sleeper car. And we had, when you have a sleeper car on Amtrak, you have a room attendant. He's in charge of, like he or she, everyone I've ever had has been a man, but that person is in charge of your room and several other rooms. They make up the beds for you at night, and they bring you things and stuff like that. And when we got off the train in Denver, and we'd done this before. We'd been in Denver before and gotten off and gone and done things during this time that the train was stopped and restocking. And we got off, and my dad checked with our room attendant to confirm the time that we needed to be back to the train. And our room attendant told us the wrong time. But we didn't know that. And I don't know why we weren't looking at the timetable. We probably did. But for whatever reason, we just, we wanted to double check with him or whatever. And I don't know if it was because we had changed time zones or he had changed time zones or something. For some reason, he did not have the time right, and he gave us the wrong time. And I don't remember what the time was, but anyway. When we got there, it was really early. Like, I want to say like 7, 8 in the morning. And we walked, I'm pretty sure, we walked to the Capitol building, okay? And the Capitol building in Denver is kind of cool because it's the mile-high city, and it's elevated even beyond the fact that the city is elevated. The Capitol is like up on a kind of a hill. And when we got there, the streets were really quiet. There was nobody out. It was really early in the morning. Stores weren't open yet, things like that. And when we got there, I wanted my dad to take a picture of me, I think was the deal. Or I was going to take a picture of him. Somebody was taking a picture. And this is back in the days of no cell phones, way before cell phones, and film camera. We did not have digital cameras. Okay, we had regular cameras with film. And one of us was handing the camera to the other person. Like, we took a picture and then we were going to switch or something like that. And we dropped it. In passing it to each other, we dropped the camera. It fell on the steps, and the little hatch came open, and the film fell out. So what that means is all of that film that was still not wound into the canister yet was ruined. We couldn't take any more pictures because it had been exposed. So we needed another roll of film. And I think we had more, but we had left it on the train because we didn't think, we're going to need more than one roll of film for this little 2-hour jaunt or whatever it is we were going to be in Denver. So for whatever reason, my dad had a tendency, which I can't, as a parent now, I can't believe he did this. He used to leave me alone all the time. Like, he would, whenever we took train trips, Amtrak trips, he would leave me on the train, and he would get off, like in every stupid little town, and go wandering around on foot. And it would make me so nervous because I'd be sitting there on the train and the conductor would be like, all aboard, and my dad is nowhere to be seen. He always made it back, but it would freak me out because I'm like, I would be like, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, and my dad is gone, and I'm by myself on this train. And I guess if I think about it now, I probably should have stayed with my dad. But I always felt like we're supposed to be on this train. I need to stay with the train. But I mean, what would I have done if the train had gone? I don't know. But anyway, hey, at least with a sleeper compartment, for the time I was on the train, your meals are included. So at least I would have had a place to sleep and food to eat. But anyway, but that was just kind of a thing. My dad just, I don't know what he was thinking, if he thought it was a safer time or whatever, but he would leave me by myself a lot. Now, granted, on this particular trip, I was 18 years old. Okay, so I was 18 years old and a freshman in college. I mean, I'd lived in the dorms. I wasn't, I was fine. But he decided that he was going to have me wait there at the Capitol building, and he was going to walk and find a store to buy another roll of film. Okay? And again, it was very early in the morning and like nothing was open. So he had to walk a ways. I mean, he was gone a while. And I was sitting like on a bench outside the Capitol building waiting for him. And I had to go to the bathroom. I remember this. I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like trying to wait for him before I went to the bathroom because I didn't want to leave the spot where he said, wait here. And I'm finally like, oh, I really gotta go to the bathroom. So I went inside the Capitol building. And by this time, people had started coming into work. There were a lot of people walking around the Capitol and stuff. And I asked someone, excuse me, where's the restroom? Where's the ladies' room? And they told me it was downstairs. I had to go downstairs and the public restroom, and it was down there. And I found it right away, and I went to the bathroom. And when I came out of the bathroom, my dad had come back, and he couldn't find me because I wasn't on the bench where he had told me to wait. And he was screaming my name. And he's like, Heather! And I could hear him like echoing through the Capitol building. Because it's a traditional Capitol building with a dome, and it's all marble and everything. And I was so embarrassed because I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, shut up, I'm right here. But anyway, hey, he left me. So anyway, I came rushing out, and I'm like, I'm right here. And so anyway, he was kind of panicked about that already. And then I can't remember what we did after that. We might have looked around the Capitol for a little while, but I do remember that his leaving and going and finding this film took a good chunk of time. So at some point then we go back to the train station. And you had to, you walk in one side, you walk through the station, and you walk out the other side to the train platform. And we get outside, and the train is gone. And my dad freaked out. I mean, he had a full-blown meltdown because like everything, all our stuff was on the train. Our luggage was on the train, our tickets were on the train, everything was on the train. And I just don't think in that moment he could think like, what are we gonna do? Now, thankfully, I'm sure he had his wallet too. And I had my purse, and I'm pretty sure at that time I was an authorized user on his credit card. So I had like my own credit card. I don't know why. For some reason, I want to think he didn't have his credit card with him. And I can't imagine why that would be. I would think he'd had it in his wallet. But for some reason, I'm remembering that it was really good that I had my purse because we didn't have any money or something. Maybe he couldn't have left his wallet on the train because he went and bought more film. But anyway, I don't know. Well, anyway, we talked to people in the station, and they said that we weren't completely out of luck because when you leave Denver on the train, you are going up the mountains. And so the train is going very slow because it has to get up the mountains and it can't go very fast. And we decided, they assured us that if we rented a car, we could drive faster than the train could get up the mountains. So we, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think he ever did find any film. And I'll tell you why in a second. So anyway, we took a taxi to the nearest rental car place. And I remember it was closed. But we had the taxi wait, I think. And my dad jumped out and saw that it was closed. We got back in the cab. We said, do you know where there's another rental car place? He took us to the other one. The next one was open. We rented a car, but we had to rent it where we picked it up in Denver and we dropped it off in Grand Junction. I think that's right. which, whatever the next big stop was. And we must not have been that freaked out, because I remember as we were leaving Denver, we stopped at a Walmart. And I think then we bought film, because I don't think he ever did find a store that was open. And so we bought film and like a couple other things, like some snacks or something. And then I remember we drove like crazy maniacs up through the mountains trying to catch the train. And we got to the point where, if you've ever been in this part of Colorado, the highway is on this side, and there's the river in the middle, and then the train track was on this side as we were going west. And so I could see the train track the whole time. And we were pretty sure the train was not ahead of us. Like, we had gotten ahead of it somehow. I can't remember what the deal was. Just because it has to go so slow. I think it goes slow through the mountains in an area that you can't see the track. And then at the point where we could see the track, we should have been ahead of it. And so we were anxiously watching the whole time, making sure that the train didn't catch up and pass us. Because if it passed us, we were screwed. Because if it passed us, we weren't going to catch it. Because once it got up, it was going to start going a lot faster, because it would eventually hit the Continental Divide and start going down. So anyway, it was during the time that they were building the way the highway is now. It's up against the mountain, and like, I don't know, westbound or eastbound, half the lanes are under the other half. They actually go on top of each other. And so if you're going one direction, you're on top, and if you're going the other direction, you're on the bottom. And they were in the process of building that. So there was all this construction, and there was all these warning signs that, there's blasting ahead, there's delays and all this. And I remember we got stopped because they were going to be blasting, and we were sitting there stopped for a painfully long time. I don't know. It was probably like 20 minutes or something. But we were just like freaking out, like, oh no, please don't let the train come. And we were watching the track, and we're like, oh gosh, don't let it come, don't let it come, don't let it come. And we finally, they cleared the road and let us go through. And it was like one of these things where you had to go, one half going one way had to go, and then the flag guy had to turn around and let the other people go. So it was real slow. And it was right before we got to, I think it's Grand Junction. I can't remember. It's not Colorado. What is that city? I don't know. But anyway, I have to look at a map. Should have looked at a map before I made this video. Sorry. So anyway, we get to the town, and when you got there, thankfully the rental car place was very near the train station. And we literally had to just return the car, and then we had to run up over this pedestrian bridge over the train tracks and down the other side, and the station was over here. And we returned the car. Now, we had no stuff because all our luggage was on the train, so we could just run. My dad was returning the car, and I don't know, there was some paperwork or something he had to do because, we were returning the car to a different place than we picked it up at. And I ran over the trestle thing ahead of him and was waiting on the platform. And as my dad was running up over the bridge and over the track, the train came. And I was like, Dad, come on, hurry! And he made it, and he was all out of breath. And he would have been, let's see, if I was 18, he's 30 years older than me, so he would have been 48 at the time. So, and anyway, the train pulls in, and our room attendant for our sleeper car gets out all casual, and he puts the step stool down, and we walk up to him, and we're all flustered and out of breath. And we walked up to him, and he looks at us, and he goes, where were you? And we're like, you told us the wrong time. And actually later we found out that all of this was, we wouldn't have had to do any of this, because it turned out that for some reason, I don't know, traffic on the track or something, after the train had left the Denver station, it had pulled ahead like a mile and stopped because there was some kind of delay on the track, and it sat there for like an hour. And so all this craziness running to catch this train, and if we had known that somehow, I don't know why the guy in the station couldn't like radio the train or something. I suppose it wasn't protocol or whatever, but if we had known that, we could have just taken the taxi a mile ahead and gotten on. But we didn't know that at the time. So that was our crazy adventure of missing the train in Denver. So my lesson to you on this misadventure in travel is make sure you know the time that you have to be at the place where your transportation is leaving. That includes trains, that includes ships, that includes airplanes. And allow yourself plenty of time to get there so that, you don't get stuck in a security line, or you don't get stuck in traffic, or something goes wrong and you miss your mode of transportation. That is my lesson to you from this story. And even better, I would say, when you're on an Amtrak water stop, don't get off the train. So anyway, that's today's episode of Misadventures in Travel, and I will have another one for you soon. Stay tuned. Thanks.